The truce between Israel and Hamas has been extended by 2 days. So far, dozens of Israelis taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th have been released as part of the deal. Among those released, 3 of 4 people from the same family unit. This is footage released by Hamas on Friday. It shows 9-year-old Ohad, his mother Karen, and his grandmother Ruthie, all of whom were freed on day 1 of the truce. A day later, Ohad was reunited with his father. The moment was captured on camera. Joining me now is Itay Raviv, a member of this family. Itay, it's good to speak with you.
Thank you for having me.
I know this isn't everything you wanted, and we'll get to your uncle's situation in just a second, but first, your 2 cousins and your aunt have been released, and I know you were able to see them this weekend. How are they doing?
Yeah, first of all, it's very exciting. Like you said, it's not the end, and we're still going to fight to release my uncle Avraham. And it's been great talking to them and seeing them. They're doing okay physically. They have lost weight, and they were in not the best conditions because they were in captivity in the hands of Hamas. But they are physically okay. Karen and Ohad, my cousins, they were released today from the hospital. Ruti is still there, but she's also doing okay. And mentally, it's going to take a while. We'll see. We don't know how a 9-year-old reacts after spending 50 days in captivity.
Did they give you any insight into their conditions when they were there, where they were kept, how they were treated, how the whole thing went over the past 50-plus days?
Yeah, so we have been able to understand a little bit of what they've been dealing with. They're still quite in shock and overwhelmed with everything that's been going on in Israel while they were there, all the advocacy for them. And we learned that they didn't even know the scale of everything that happened in Israel on October 7th and what exactly happened. So they told us they were given some food, not a lot. Sometimes there was food, sometimes there wasn't. They don't know where they were exactly. They were moved from place to place. They weren't sleeping on mattresses. They weren't sleeping on chairs or on the floor. They didn't take any shower. They had to request access for bathroom, and they had to wait a while until they were able to do it, which was difficult mainly for the kids. The good thing is that there were the 3 of them together this whole time, which helped them survive mentally because they had each other. The sad thing is that they weren't with Avraham, and only when they were released, they understood that he is kidnapped as well, because up until then, they thought he was murdered on October 7th, because when they were taken from the house, he was left behind, and they saw the terrorists trying to burn down the house. So they were happy to learn that Avraham was not murdered, that he is in captivity, which is a crazy thing to understand and to be happy about. Also because we don't know what his condition is, and we don't even know if he's actually alive or not. We assume that he is alive. And unfortunately, they had to learn that Ruti and Avram's son and Karen's brother, was murdered on October 7th. So even when they came back out of captivity, they came back to an horrific truth and understanding the reality of their kibbutz, that many of their friends were murdered, that the kibbutz was completely destroyed, that so many Israelis were murdered on October 7th, and so many were kidnapped because they didn't know the amount of people that were kidnapped. Right. They knew only about themselves and some other people from the kibbutz that they saw.
Right, so everything you've been able to process and deal with as you learned it, they're just learning it all now and coming to grips with this and learning about family members who were murdered. And as you say, you hope Avraham is still alive, and where there's life, there is hope. There is some talk that in this extension of the exchanges that are happening, that maybe some men could be released. And I know your uncle, I believe, is about 78 years old, so he's not a fighting age soldier. Do you have any hope that if he is alive, as you want to believe, that he could potentially be part of this next release?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully he's released in the next few days. But you said something interesting about soldier age or something like that. We need to remember that there are young men and women as well there, and young men who are not soldiers, and even the soldiers, they need to be released as well. There are people there. I'm 27 years old. There's people there who are my age, men. They're civilians. They're innocent civilians. They're not even soldiers. They were kidnapped from a peace festival that they were dancing at. They should be released as well. They suffer as well. They hurt as well. They have feelings as well. We cannot forget about the men. I feel like it could have been me. Yeah. I'm fighting not only for my family, but for all innocent civilians who are there.
Yes, no, and certainly you make an excellent point. I was using that divider because I know there's been some resistance to releasing people who could fight, and obviously your 78-year-old uncle is not the sort of person who they're going to put in an IDF uniform. But look, your cousin Ohad, his story resonated with me because he's the same age as my oldest son, and he was held hostage on his 9th birthday, and I saw the video of the party, for lack of a better word, that you had where everyone released the red balloons into the air because of it's his favorite color of his favorite soccer team, Liverpool, I believe.
Correct.
Are you going to have a party for him now that he's out? Will he get a proper birthday party now that he's reunited with his family?
Yes. So first of all, of course, everyone in Israel knew who he is, and he had to learn as well that he is one of the most famous kids in Israel now. Which is overwhelming as well. Imagine just going out of captivity after 50 days, being disconnected from the world, into everybody knowing who you are. Your faces in so many places on the news and on the papers, and so many soccer players in Israel as well of the team that he likes are congratulating him for his birthday, and so many things are happening for him. So this is just a shock that he had, and on Saturday, something great to know about him and to understand his character. So they stayed for a few days at Schneider Hospital, at a hospital, a kids hospital in Israel, and the family members slowly started to visit them. They tried to keep it as little for as little people as possible. And on Saturday, they told him he can bring 2 or 3 friends to see him, and he said, I don't know who to choose. I don't want to insult anyone from the group. So the whole group of like 7, 8 friends came along, and they celebrated his birthday. They had ice cream and pizza, like 9-year-olds should do. Yeah. And it was so emotional to see. It was one of the first times we smiled for the past 2 months, seeing the kid reunites with his friends and doing things that 9-year-olds should do. And hopefully we continue on celebrating for him his birthday, and he'll be given whatever he wants and needs. But again, we must remember his grandfather is still there. He loves his grandfather so much, and he needs to be home as well to celebrate his birthday for him. It's not complete without him.
No, and Itay, we certainly hope, Abraham, you see him soon. But it is nice to talk about a positive and happy development in the conflict of the past 50-plus days. So thank you for speaking with us. I'm very happy they're home, and wish Ohad a happy birthday from us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.